Alright everyone, how you doing? You can tell this isn't my usual backdrop, and it's not. I'm away in Sandbanks for the weekend, but that's got absolutely nothing to do with the video. Today is about my Premier League predictions for Game Week 2. We've had Game Week 1, West Ham lost. We're going to have to try and sort ourselves out for Game Week 2. But the whole Premier League, I'm going to try and predict all of the results for the 10 games across this weekend. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, I say I'm in Sandbanks, but if you go across the south coast, you will find Brighton at the Amex Stadium. Brighton Hove Albion versus Manchester United. Now, this is the 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday, and you're always told to never back the early kickoff. And this one, to be honest with you, a Brighton win wouldn't be too unpredictable. I'm saying 2-1 to Brighton, simply because Brighton started the season so well. A 3-0 win away at Goodison Park. That is a very, very good result, regardless of how Everton are playing. First game of the season to go away to Goodison Park and get a 3-0 win. That is very good and very convincing. But Man United at home on the opening night of the Premier League, only beating Fulham 1-0 through a late Joshua Zirkzee goal. It's not overly convincing, and because of that, I'm going to say a Brighton 2-1 win. But starting the 3 p.m. kickoffs on Saturday, we head over to North London, Tottenham Hotspur versus Everton. Now, Everton, I've just spoken about, they lost to Brighton 3-0 at home on the first game of the season. Now, no disrespect to Brighton, but you can't lose 3-0 at home on the first game of the season. It's just not how you start a season. For morale, for the team, anything like that. You don't want to start with a 3-0 defeat. And they're going to want to bounce back from this, so they could go to Tottenham and go all guns blazing, need to get those 3 points. But I don't think they're going to do it, and I'm going to say a Tottenham 2-0 win. Now, for Spurs, they went away to Leicester on Monday night and they drew 1-1, which actually, for them, they'll look back on it and think it's not a very good result, considering in the first half, they really dominated and probably should have been 2 or even 3-0 up, but weren't. They didn't take their chances, and because of that, they were punished by a 37-year-old called Jamie Vardy. Yes, he scored the goal for Leicester, meaning it was an equaliser, and Leicester, defending very, very well, held out for a draw, meaning that Tottenham start the season on a singular point. But I think they're going to want to change that, and they'll take all 3 at home to Everton. 2-0 Spurs. So, going back down south, you have Southampton versus Nottingham Forest at St Mary's Stadium. Newly promoted Southampton after beating Leeds in the playoff final. A lot of people said they're going to go down, but you can watch my prediction video right here if you want to see where I put them. Anyway, on this game versus Nottingham Forest at home, I do think Southampton are going to get the win, but only narrowly and in a 1-0 fashion. Now, Nottingham Forest got a draw at home to Bournemouth the other week, which actually they probably would have seen as quite a good result, considering Bournemouth had a couple of goals disallowed. It is Bournemouth who finished very strongly last season. But Southampton went all the way up to Newcastle, the furthest away day they can possibly go on, and actually lost 1-0 through a goal from Joe Linton, also missing a lot of chances themselves. So they're going to want to rectify this at home, and that is why I think they're going to win 1-0. Especially the fact that Nottingham Forest always struggle away from home. But now it's time to talk about the champions Manchester City. 4 in a row. They're probably going to make it 5 unless Arsenal have a good push, or even Liverpool, any other team in the league that are going to try and push Manchester City if you dare. But they take on Ipswich at the Etihad, and for Ipswich, this is a very, very hard fixture. They already started with a very hard one, playing against Arne Slott's new Liverpool side, and they lost 2-0 at home. They held pretty well up to half-time, getting 0-0, They were getting into half-time thinking maybe we can nick a point here, but quality came over and they lost 2-0 in the end. Man City, however, went away to Stamford Bridge to play Chelsea and beat them 2-0 pretty comfortably. So for this one, I think there is only one winner, and I'm going to say Man City. And actually, I'm going to say Man City 4, Ipswich 1. And now talking about a newly promoted side, and that is Leicester City, the championship winners. They go to Craven Cottage to play against Fulham, and to be honest, in predicting this one, I'm not really sure what was going to happen. But after a bit of thought, I think Fulham are going to win this one 3-1. No disrespect to Leicester, they got a very good point on Monday against Tottenham, holding their own in the first half, defending well. They managed to get a goal through the 37-year-old Jamie Vardy, Red Bull addict. Fair enough, they got a decent point on the board. And Fulham losing away at Man United, quite expected on the opening night, a late goal as well. But this time, I think they're going to rectify that and win at home to Leicester City. 3-1. But moving on to my team, West Ham United, we go away to Selhurst Park to play against Crystal Palace. Now, Palace losing last week 2-1, and West Ham losing last week 2-1 as well. Palace away at Brentford, having a very controversial goal from Eberechi Eze disallowed, and West Ham losing at home to Aston Villa from a goal from none other than John Duran. The man we wanted to sign for the whole summer scores against us as we lose 2-1 at home. Two teams desperate for 3 points, especially West Ham, considering we play Man City at home next week. And honestly, if we go into that international break with 0 or even 1 point, it's not going to look good at the club, and especially a club who just got new manager Julian Lopetegui. So I hope we win, and I think we'll win, and that is why I'm saying Crystal Palace 1, West Ham United 2. Come on, you Irons. And after all the 3 o'clocks are done, it's time for the Saturday night football, and that is Aston Villa versus Arsenal. Now, as I just mentioned, Aston Villa beat West Ham 2-1 at the London Stadium last week. So they're going to have a bit of form going into this game. And Arsenal, the same goes for them. They won at home to Wolves 2-0 pretty comfortably. They're going to have some form going into this game, both on 3 points, both on a level playing field, but this time at Villa Park. Now, this one was quite hard to predict because I do think that Arsenal will challenge for the title this season. But again, Villa showed the quality last week and they're going to want to push for Champions League football once again. And it was so hard to call, I'm actually going to say it will be a draw. And as I say that, I think it will be 2-2 at Villa Park. So moving into Sunday at 2 p.m, but we stay in the Midlands. We go across to the Molineux, Wolves versus Chelsea. Now, Chelsea, they are becoming a bit of a laughing stock. And the reason I say that is they're buying so many players, but not getting any results. Wolves also selling 2 of their key players in Neto and Max Kilman. Kilman obviously coming to West Ham. And not really reinvesting in their squad. And because of that, I'm not really sure how Wolves are going to do this season. But in terms of the game itself, I'm actually going to say Wolves 1, Chelsea 1. I think Wolves are going to play well. And Chelsea, I just don't think they're there yet. Way too many players. Anyway, that's it at the Molineux. 1-1. And this is a game that's actually quite close to where I'm staying right now. Sandbanks to Bournemouth, and Bournemouth versus Newcastle at the Vitality Stadium. Now, Bournemouth having a very good season last year, finishing 12th, and Newcastle not having such a good season, but still finishing in 7th, but actually not getting any Europe because Man United won the FA Cup. However, starting this season, Bournemouth got a 1-1 draw away at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest, late goal from Antoine Semenyo. And then Newcastle winning 1-0 at home to Southampton after going down to 10 men after losing Fabian Schär. This game could be quite even. To be honest, a lot of people would probably just say an easy Newcastle win. And I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say Bournemouth 2, Newcastle 2. Very good game, but points shared on the South Coast. Leaving our final game as Liverpool versus Brentford. Brentford beating Palace 2-1 at home. Very controversial goal for Eze disallowed, as I've mentioned countless times throughout this video, but it has to be mentioned it was very, very controversial and a very weird goal to disallow. But Brentford did still win 2-1 at home to Palace. Very good result. Liverpool also did win, going away to Ipswich and winning 2-0. Yes, you may say it's only Ipswich, but they still did it. They still went there and they still won 2-0. And I think they'll win again. I think this one will be Liverpool 3, Brentford 0. But remember, that's just my opinion. Here are all the scores on the screen right now. You can put in the comments below if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, what you think the scores are going to be over this Premier League Game Week 2 weekend. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, as that would be greatly appreciated. And until next time, come on you Irons, let's go get a very good result at Crystal Palace. See what happens. Come on you Irons.